It's the end of June and I know what's coming. Stick with me to find out what it is. Okay, I'm standing in front of my cherry tree that has actually been nibbled, and you can actually see here my white-tailed deer friends have been nibbling away at the cherry trees. As you look around the reservoir area, there's 24 cherry trees, and unfortunately, last year I was not able to get the fence up in time, and as a result, the bucks tore my trees up. It's one thing for them to be nibbled on, and of course you don't want that, right? It's another thing for the bucks to come here and clean their antlers off like it's using a toothpick, and they love these young trees to do that, and they just literally destroyed them, shredded them, all 24 of them. So this year I'm putting up a concept that I've learned off of YouTube, which is the 3D fence. Now, this is a concept that I'm hoping and praying will work. I don't know, but I will tell you that I've researched all the other fences, and unfortunately, because of this location, it is actually in the front of the property. And I really did not want to build an 8-foot fence and make sure that that was all around it. It didn't appeal to me. So we'll find out if it appeals to me after the fact, certainly, if the bucks are able to get in. Now, everybody has tested this. If you're on YouTube, you'll see that there's 100 views on how to do this 3D fence. For the most part, everybody's aligned, which is really kind of cool. When everybody's kind of shipping the same direction on this concept, I believe it has to work to some degree. Folks are trying to keep out other critters. I'm not. I'm just trying to keep out the white deer. Now, there are elk in the area, and there's a moose or two that comes through. I don't think they're really going to be interested in this because obviously they're more herding animals. They're not going to want to leap it. It's the deer that I'm trying to keep away from this. And so at this point, what we're going to do is lay out the fence. It's a little different of a structure. I'm going to go ahead and put T-posts in the corners, which are not true corners. They're going to be kind of kitty cornered. And then also I'm going to use fiberglass posts in the gaps. So it'll be 3 lines, 18, 36, 54. So we'll set these 7-footers into the ground at 5 feet high, obviously 60 inches. Give ourselves the ability to get 6 inches on top for the 54. And then the outer line, because it's a 3D fence, right? You got the 3 lines running down, and then the outer line's gonna run about 24 inches up. Now, there's only really one choke point, which is right here. This was why I chose this tree to talk in front of. There's a distance between here and the creek. It's a little bit tighter than the width of this mathematics that I'm running. But everywhere else, perfect, it's gonna be set up. So the other challenge we have in this area is when we built the reservoir, there's a lot of rock in the dam area and throughout the whole area that is going to impact our ability to drive the post down. I'm hopeful. We'll see what happens. So let's go ahead and get into the action and start driving some posts down. And then over the next 48 hours, we'll put lines in and get ourselves set up for hopefully keeping my little whitetail friends out, because this nibbling only ends with terrorism to the tree from the the whitetail bucks. So let's get into this. Okay, I think that's 6 there. Okay, so what does that do for us from a point of view of, are we away from the tree? Yeah, I think so, huh?
I think we're good.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good. So we're using 5 feet away from the trees because as we're bouncing through these corners, you don't want to get too close to the tree and cause yourself to be like, they can literally put their head in and nibble. So I'm going to go set it 5 feet away, and it appears to be far away enough. even for the elk if they were nibbled. Now, I haven't said this, but I am considering electrifying this fence. It is going to be wired with electrical fence wiring, but I don't want to put the sunk cost into it if I don't have to. And because of the reservoir and the jumping, I might think that they be a little feeling like between the 3D fence and the jumping next to the reservoir, they may say, let's go eat somewhere else, let's hope. Good. So another interesting byproduct here is we have a hill and we have a slope on the other side too to the down. I really don't know what that means for the deer. I'm not a deer, but I'm hopeful that it'll work out. So this is a challenging moment for me, thinking wise, because we're literally going upgrade and we're going to go over to downgrade. I don't know how that's going to work when the wire's sitting at 18, or whether or not I'm going to bounce right off the top of the dirt. But I'm hopeful that when I get over there, I'm going to set it at 5 feet out. Hopefully it works. Going really well. I think we've got it organized and set up correctly. This is the pinch point, as I was speaking to earlier. So we will be at a little bit more narrow here. I'll put it right off, and then maybe it's only 2 feet away. Hopefully it's not the weak point in the whole thing, and then they go, hey, looks like we're getting in, boys. We're ready to put the outside ring around, and so what right now we're going to do is set it 3 feet apart per the directions of everybody on YouTube, and we're going to go ahead and bounce that around, put the 11 post in. Now this is just today is about putting in the permanent T-post. Tomorrow we'll use the fiberglass and we'll start setting the lines, but for right now we're just going to bounce around the perimeter and take the lap again. Maybe get it down here more, yeah. So you get, okay, good. Okay, cool. Okay, day 2 of this operation, and the only reason why it takes 2 days, frankly, is because we had actually other areas that we were doing this fencing with, and we have the rest of the fence that we're building up, the driveway. So kind of maximizing Ron being here and getting it going. So I am changing partners today. My wife Sherry is going to join, and we're going to actually lay out the wires, all the connections and all of that. It's actually a far more beautiful day today, and that's a good thing. So first steps today is simply putting on the connectors to the T-post, get them set up to the right heights, and then we're going to put the fiberglass post in around the way. Last night we put the little clips on that, so we should be in good order, and hey, let's get started. Per the internet, we're going to set this up as 18 inches, 36 inches, and 54 inches, and then the outer is going to be 24 inches. It gives the illusion of 3D, I guess, to their eyes that are on the side of the head. Again, I'm not an expert. I just simply have watched everybody else do this. Those in between. Okay, there we are. That's what you do. Okay, but that's a little high there.
And it's not catching back here.
Well, because I haven't pressed it on yet.
Oh.
There we go. Okay, 18. Okay, 18, and then I need the next one to be at 36. So it goes like this. How does that work? It goes like that. You bring it around.
It's a snap waiting to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so there's that. Okay. And then 54. Here. You come around the outside. Yeah. I guess that's. Ow. Okay, all the wire clips are in at the appropriate places, 18, 36, and 54, and then 24 on the outside. We're ready to go ahead and start thinking through how this lays out. Now I gotta do a little bear tactics here and grab these posts and get them straightened out. Some of them are a little bit out of angle. So I'm gonna get those straightened out with the level. And then after that, we're gonna start setting our wire. Okay, it's time to set the wire all the way around. And I'm gonna go ahead and use this stuff I got from North 40, the poly wire from Gallagher. You know, it's 1,312 feet. And so it should work as far as distance. The strand size, you know, I really don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to be thicker. All I know is I'm not intending to electrify this fence, but it does have electrical conductivity capabilities, so we'll see how it goes. So I'm connecting these things with just a simple crimped aluminum wire holder that my dad has. Bought this kit. Again, don't know, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna start off with the bottom and go all the way around first, because I think it'll help me guide putting the fiberglass post in along the way a lot better. Okay, so just the aluminum connector. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it through this hole and crimp it on. See, I'm thinking this will work better than a simple knot. I guess I'll find out when I'm pulling it around, and that won't be good. Okay, I think we're about ready. Okay, that's it. Okay, the ground's just a bit stiff in this area, but we're gonna get to it. So now we're gonna pace these out and just put them in. So using the line as a guide and some spacing by just simple footing it out, don't have to overthink it. So the good news is with these fiberglass, I'll be able to adjust each one of the clips to make it kind of level looking instead of looking like, you know, so we'll get that done here afterwards. Okay, you got the first wire all the way around. I'm going to make some micro adjustments on the line. It's going to wave up and down again. We're on the hillside slope, so I'll have some of that going on. It's also going around and making it taunt all the way around, and then I'm going to tighten it off on the last post here. Hopefully we're done with the first lap. The other laps are a little bit easier. Okay, 1, 2, 3 wires are in. Got the little crimp here on the aluminum. It's all the way around, totally looking good. So now it's time to do the outside loop. A little concerned because the stakes I chose, you're probably gonna have a hard time digging them into the ground in some areas, but we'll work through it. So with that, we're just gonna run the other line all the way around after I get the stakes put in. Third one was a little bit painful because I bought these plastic 2-foot stakes and the ground's hard as hell. So unfortunately I had to use a screwdriver to drive that into the ground first and then pound it in. And in some locations it just didn't work out. But overall we're done for the 4th lap, and now I just got to close it out with a crimp here. So we have the gate all installed, and all I really did there was find ourselves a couple of these hooks, tied it in just like I was doing everything with the crimping of the wire. So it should be a simple deal. You grab this thing and give yourself a little entrance. I made it about 10 feet wide for machine purposes so that I can get inside there and work accordingly. Hey, so the whole thing's completed, and all I really need to do now is cross my fingers and hope that the deer see this as a true barrier to them coming inside to eat. Now, I don't know if I need to electrify this someday, but at the current moment, I'm not going to. And if I do, then I'll put a station right about here so that I can, get obviously and put my rod in and get it all electrified. But listen, trusting that the internet has tested this over and over again. Like I said, I believe there's a college group that did this whole study on this, and it worked. I do find it to be, interestingly, a barrier for humans. So it was a little difficult. I had something fall inside, and I didn't want to walk all the way around the whole perimeter. One thing I haven't said, and I'll just cast it just real quick over here. This area is quite extensive, and that's the reason why, one of the reasons why I wanted to use this system. This is the reservoir, as you can see behind me, and if you go all the way around, it's about 900 feet to get all the way around this whole thing. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to get that incorporated with ease. I could have gone around each one of the 24 cherry trees. It's actually more expensive. And you have to put a netting around it, full netting all the way up, and then you're going to have to take it down, re-net it, and reset it as the time goes on. So I felt that this was my best option. So with that, hey, thanks for sticking to the end. Talk to you soon. That didn't work. So the psychological fence of the 3D does not work. Now, there's one big exception that I didn't do, and that is electrify it. And probably those watching might say, well, you got to electrify it. There was always that in the back of my head. I've shared that throughout the video, that possibly we need to spark this thing up, and then that would keep them away. They'd sniff the line, get zapped, and move on. Now, unfortunately, I don't want to get into that just yet. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and wrap each one of these trees. I have a strategy. I think it's going to work out really good. Each one of the trees are going to have their own kind of cage around them, like most of the folks in this neighborhood do anyway. I frankly don't want to risk it any further. The slope here is where I think they're getting in. I think they're literally leaping over the wire because for them visually, it's nothing. It's not even a sniff. As you know, white-tailed deer can go as high as 12 feet on a run. This thing off the slope can't be much more than a couple feet, and I always kind of concerned myself with that as a weakness. I did want to try it though. I can't say that it's a bad idea. I think it keeps a certain percentage of them out, and I've actually seen some folks talk about redundancies, and I'm going to be building that redundancy by building a cage around this. Hopefully, between the cage and the 3D fence, the deer see that as a barrier. So I don't know if it's just my deer are not psychologically impacted. They're of a sound, strong mind, and they don't have any problem with walking their way through the wire, or I didn't zap them, or they just have the great ability to leap at all. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and call this because I don't really know, because I didn't go all the way in with the zap. So I can't make it a call that it's absolutely wrong. I will tell you the trees are fine. You know, I actually have buds right now bursting here, here, and here. So it's actually gonna come right back to life. In fact, when I was putting these in, somebody that had a very large orchard happened to stop by and asked, you know, so many words, gave me some direction on what he would do. And his recommendation at that time was to cut all these at belt height. And I just couldn't do it. I was like, wow. So oddly, the deer have just short of made it belt height. So with that, hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end. I was gonna film some deer, but this is such a large area, it's hard to get my camera up and running all evening long and actually capture anything. So I kind of felt, let that go. You've seen deer jump a wire before. So talk to you soon, on to the next.